And now, from the Marquee Media Studio inside Mark Tank, it's the Mark Haney Show.
Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show, and we are on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love. And you know what? That revolution has begun to burn, my friends. It's beginning to work, and much of that is around the Backyard Advantage and this tribe of leaders that are coming together to help the startups and the entrepreneurial community. And it is nothing short of spectacular. And it's happening right here in Sacramento. And today on the show, we're going to be talking with a man who is an example of success in our region. And he's doing it in a way that is different than most. He's doing it in the entertainment industry. And in some ways, he flies above the radar. And in other ways, he's a little bit below the radar for a lot of us. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Mark S. Allen. He's done so much, but we're going to get into on the show today some of the stuff that he's doing here around making movies. This man has made 6 movies, and they are major films. And he's a Sacramento guy, and so a lot of us know him from his work on Channel 10 and the other work that he's done in TV. But he's also a filmmaker, and so we're going to share that story. And I think one of the things that you're going to appreciate, at least I truly appreciate it, is Mark is a guy that brings energy. And I get accused often about bringing energy. And my mom always told me, Mark, if you don't have talent, you bring energy. Well, today we have Mark S. Allen. He's got both talent and energy, and it is a winning combination for him personally, and it's a winning combination for Sacramento. He said, yes, I finally got around to figure out a way to get Mark S. Allen on the show today. And I didn't realize it, but it's his birthday, and he agreed to come on our show. He said, yes. Appreciate you coming on the show, Mark.
You know, it says so much. 1, I've got no place better to be. And 2, I'm a huge fan of your show. So to spend my birthday on your show, you have no idea how often I listen to your show. And I said, how many times have I been in a studio, but I'm intimidated by this. You got a big setup, and I listen to your show. The Mark Haney Tank. The Mark Haney Show.
Oh, that's funny.
And here I am. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And today is your birthday. But so today what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of do a little bit of the life story of Mark S. Allen. We know you from TV, and I think a lot of people don't know what some of the stuff you're working on in terms of making movies. But I want to get to know you a little bit. So is it okay if we just kind of go back memory lane and share with me? So it was X number of years ago today. You were born. Where'd you grow up? Give me a little bit of the backstory.
How far back do you want to go? I was born in the middle of nowhere, a little town called Odessa, Texas. The book Friday Night Lights was written at my high school during my senior year. The movie is about my high school football team. During my senior year, Billy Bob Thornton played that coach. And so if you know Odessa, Texas, that's probably why. Or if you're old enough to remember when baby Jessica fell into the well and the world was on end, seeing if she could get rescued, that was Odessa. Otherwise,
what were you like in high school?
A drama nerd.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not one of those football players. But I proudly say our high school football coach wasn't my coach. It was the coach of all those guys who used to kick my butt every day.
That's cool.
I was not a football player, but worshiped those guys.
So you were you did drama, and then walk me through the progression into this cool career you've built.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I don't know how I thought this was even something you could do, but my mom told me at the age of 7, I said I was going to move to California and make movies. And she looked at me like I was an alien, like that would never happen.
Wow.
And it's not easy to fall into film in Odessa, Texas. So I just tried to find anything connected to the entertainment industry. Started doing drama in junior high and high school and fell into radio. That seemed like it was somehow oddly connected to the entertainment industry. And that got me to California. And that got me into television. And that got me into movies.
That's incredible. So in terms of, I want to jump into the movies here in a second, but in terms of like win stories, was there like some super big wins that ended up being turning points for you in your career?
I think so. And it was something that you would have never orchestrated it this way, but I was doing radio for hip hop and R&B station here in Sacramento, and did a stunt to raise money for muscular dystrophy, where I was to live on a billboard for a month.
You get up on the billboard?
On a 2-foot plank that ran the length of the billboard. I was to do this for a month. About 3 days into it, I fell off.
Oh.
There was a bucket that we would lower donations up from the ground and lower the bucket back down to the ground for donations. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, some people who had been partying came by honking their horn. Bam, bam, hey, you're not up there. And I popped out of this little lean-to tent I had, and I said, yeah, I am. How do we make a donation? I said, I'm going to lower the bucket and put something in the bucket. So I lowered the bucket. They yanked on the rope, and it yanked me off of the billboard. I did a complete flip in air and then fell 30 feet to the concrete, broke both of my legs. About the time this was happening, the now defunct, but no, it's back in service. Encina High School was right around the corner, and some of their football players were out and saw the whole thing happen. And I said, I've got to get back up there. I'm going to get fired. And they helped one by one kind of get me inch by inch back up on top of the billboard.
With the broken legs.
With two broken legs, a concussion, a broken wrist. And the next day, it was quite obvious something was wrong with me. And the program director said, yeah, we got to get you down. So then it was called the American River Fire Department, now Sacramento, sent a lift up. They lifted me down, took me to the hospital, got me treatment. And then I said, can I go back up? And the doctor said, you're just recovering. We don't know why not. So they put me back up on the billboard for another 28 days, a really slow news month. And every TV station in town started doing live shots. And then a report that was on the NBC local got picked up by national, and a guy that was creating a syndicated show called Scratch that was like a teen version of a show that existed in the 80s and 90s called PM Magazine, and said, hey, would you like to come on this show and be a part of the show? So I literally broke a leg getting into television.
Wow. Okay, so that got you were with a radio show at that time. And so then from there, that launched you into TV.
Right. So then I'm doing this show, a really well-respected world journalist named Lisa Ling, who's from Sacramento, multi-Emmy award-winning national journalist. She was on the show with me, and she was the first breakout star from it, landed a great agent as a result of it. And she said, hey, my agent wants to sign you. And the agent signed me, and the agent said, well, let's have your 10-year plan. Where would you like to be in 10 years? What's your ultimate goal? And Comedy Central was a fledgling network at the time, and there was this great show hosted by Jon Stewart and Patty Rossborough, these two young New York comedians, called Short Attention Span Theater. And I said, I'd like to do a show like that. That would be my 10-year goal. And 2 months later, she called me. I was on a shoot for the kids show in Hawaii, and she said, guess what? Comedy Central wants to screen test you. They want you to do a live on-air audition. You need to be in New York in 36 hours. So I hopped the next plane to New York, got the gig, and then moved to New York City and hosted Short Attention Span Theater for a couple years.
So all this started with this dream from Texas as a little kid that you wanted to go to California and make movies. And you're now making movies on, you're behind the scenes on the movies now. You're not acting in the movies. You're just making the movies.
Only
right?
when we're desperate or we need someone to work cheap. Yeah. We did a basketball comedy with Jerry O'Connell called Ballbuster, and I produced it with my producing partner. I didn't direct it, but I co-wrote it. And the day before, we're going over, okay, the next day we've got to shoot these pages, and there's a scene that just says, ugly woman throws, I don't know the rating of the show, so object deleted, onto the court. Did we cast that part? And we're all looking around going, no, we didn't cast that part. And Howard goes, it'd be funny to have Mark be the ugly woman.
Oh,
so if you watch Ballbuster, I do have a very awkward, cringeworthy Alfred Hitchcock moment where I'm in that movie as ugly woman that throws object in stands.
What do you prefer more? Because obviously on the front of the camera side, you're very outgoing. You've got a big personality. But you've got this skill for making movies. Do you have a preference?
I like both, and I mean, I hope that there's never a time where I have to choose between either. I love telling stories, and what you do for a living, you're telling stories or helping other people tell their stories, and you're amazing at it. And I like doing that too. But at the same time, I like telling these really bizarre fictional stories too. Okay,
so keep me on this timeline a little bit. So you're progressing to TV, and then obviously you had great things happen from there.
Yeah, so I did the show on Comedy Central. Then that was in the process of getting canceled, or at least they were changing it to, at the time it was a live hourly daily show. They were changing it to a shorter format, and I didn't want to starve in New York City, so I took a deal with Paramount Television back on the West Coast. And then later ended up on this fledgling morning show called Good Day Sacramento that was created by Paramount Television, a big national company creating this local show.
And so you were there at the origination of that.
Yeah, they tried to get me initially, but I still had 6 months left of my contract with a 90-day grace period. So I wasn't the first cast, but 3 months into it, I came aboard.
No, okay. So a lot of people know you from that. I mean, where do you feel like people know you most from? Because you're obviously a super well-known person, and you've got now with a lot of social media, I'm sure. But where do people know you most from? From
probably
Channel 10,
Safeway on Pleasant Grove, and Walmart nearby. No, I don't know. I think just I've been doing it for so long that I think obviously from television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
people are shouting, "Going, hey, you're the guy that makes movies!"
Yeah. The TV is where you.
I'm that guy. I'm the guy shouting you at Safeway going, hey, I'm the guy that watched my movie.
That's
I
right.
make
Watch
movies now.
That's funny. So growing up, though, were there certain things that shaped the childhood, maybe even negative things or things that maybe would have kind of given you an extra drive to do this?
I don't know. My parents were super supportive on the surface. But I could tell at the end of the day, my dad was an oil man, and he wanted his kid, like, well, you're going to go out there and make movies?
Yeah.
Good luck, son. And I think he meant good luck sincerely, but at the same time, I think he thought that I would probably be back working for him in a matter of no time.
Wow.
So I think that fear of failure drove me tremendously.
Interesting. I've heard that from a lot of people. A lot of people see, they don't want to fail for themselves, but also maybe the people that have maybe doubted them, or the people that we thought might doubt us need to make something of ourselves.
I think so. That fuels us in a way.
Yeah. Okay, so thinking about who you are. So you're this bigger than life personality. So I don't know you very well, but when I see you, I remember seeing you on the Bridge Dinner one year. You've come in here, even today. You're this bigger than life personality. You always dress, super well. Like I had to wear this new red shirt in order to try to draw attention away from you to myself.
I'm glad you're wearing that, because honestly, I had planned on wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
That's usually what I wear.
That's usually what you wear, and I wanted to match you today. And now I would have been that guy walking in shorts and a t-shirt.
You are the sharp suit, and so where do you get your fashion sense from? How does that? Where did that come from?
I have no sense of fashion, really. I just look at whatever the trendsetters are, whatever they're selling. I typically will look at a mannequin and go, I'll just take that, whatever that is. Yeah. There's a guy in town that has a shop, I think, at Beverly Hills and here in Sacramento named R. Douglas. And I'm not dropping names because I like to support local businesses. I've actually
bought a couple of sport coats there.
Yeah,
super nice.
And so this is a guy that's making world-class garments. And so like I'll either buy from him or go look and see what his mannequins are wearing.
That's awesome.
Because I have to buy disposable sometimes too. Like I never know what I'm going to be doing, so I typically dress up. And like I told you when I came in, this really is me being a slacker, because any organized person would have a change of clothes.
Okay.
But so I just buy, with the exception of R. Douglas, I buy disposable suits and just leave them on 24 hours a day, like a fireman with turnout garment. I just have it ready just to drop in.
That's hilarious. Okay, so what it's like to be you, that's kind of interesting to me, is like what it might be like to be you, right? Because you're covering the Oscars, you're on TV, you're making movies. What's like a day in the life? I know you don't wear the suit to bed. So what's a day in the life? You wake up and what happens in the morning? A lot of people want to know, what the behind the scenes of a really successful person.
You'd be surprised at how many times I have indeed worn a suit to
No
bed.
way.
And woken up the next day, like one of those quick turnarounds where I had 2 hours where I didn't even not that I wear a tremendous amount of makeup, but there are days where I probably wore the same makeup 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
If I did wear makeup. Not saying I do.
May or may not have.
But yeah, so I get up at 2 a.m. I like editing. I love editing. So I'll get up at 2 a.m. and start editing a project. And I find that 2 a.m. is kind of my quality time where I'm not going to get interrupted. My phone's not blowing up. and edit until about 4 o'clock, and then jump in the shower quickly, and then rush off to be live on TV somewhere at 5 a.m. Get off at 7 and have meetings at administrative until about 8 or 9. Shoot more segments throughout the day. And then usually by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my producing partner and I are on meetings.
Is that Howard or who is that producer?
That's Howard.
Okay. Howard.
And so Howard Bird and I have a lot of virtual meetings, pandemic and beyond. And then now that we're coming out of the pandemic and pre-pandemic, we're in LA 2 or 3 days out of every week.
Well, you're in great shape. You work out? Is there a time to get to the gym, or what do you do?
If you saw me running across your parking lot, people say that, and I mean it. I usually get my best workout just running to wherever I'm supposed to be next.
Get out of here.
I swear, I don't work out. I run through airports. I run through your parking lot.
That's hilarious. Okay, so day in life, get up, do the editing. That's interesting that you do the editing. You're doing that yourself for what? What are you editing?
Again, because I'm a slacker. I would rather edit it, because then I have instant approval from me that it's working.
Is that on the movie, or is that on TV stuff?
This is on TV stuff.
Okay.
On TV segments.
Okay.
Back in the day when I first started out, I was almost always exclusively live. So it's just kind of spinning that plate live for 3 or 5 minute segment. And now I work for management that wants higher production value. And I'm on a different kind of show now altogether. It's an infinitely more respected news show rather than entertainment, and so higher production value. And so I'm having more long form interviews that I'm cutting down and curating, and that's what I'm editing.
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so you do your editing, and then you go in, and you're on TV somewhere.
And then I'm live studio or elsewhere, out and about.
Are you? Did I see something you were out covering the snow or something like that recently?
That's atypical. That's when it's all hands on deck.
Okay, I was like,
all hell is breaking loose.
Stop! Surprised
There's
me.
snow on everything. It's snowing in Roseville. The world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
All hands on deck. I'm one of those guys.
But from an entertainment standpoint, you follow a lot of the entertainment stuff. You're Oscars and so on. So you have to stay up on pop culture and know what's going on.
Right. I still do that. I still do content for Extra Butter, which was a syndicated show. Then when the pandemic hit, that went on ice. But the content from that still airs. So one-on-one celebrity interviews, and I'm still building that every week.
Okay. So what are you excited about now? I mean, are you most excited about the movies? Is that kind of what's kind of like got your sounded like your meetings are with Howard, and that's kind of.
I've been doing this. So Howard and I have been making movies for 7 years now, and I'm extremely excited about that. And I get a tremendous amount of fulfillment from it. I directed my first movie about 1.5 years ago that came out last month, and it did well. Won the Cannes Film Festival Best Star Comedy.
Which tell me about that.
That movie?
Yeah.
So you and I are roughly the same age. Do you remember a movie with Michael Douglas called Falling Down?
Yeah, I do. It's a little bit depressing kind of movie, was it?
Yeah. I mean, they called it a dark comedy at the time, but it was mostly pretty depressing, especially the way it finishes. So it starts out with a guy stuck in LA traffic, and you kind of see him crack during opening credits.
Oh, yeah.
Gets out of the car and starts walking home, opening up tiny little vigilante moves, somewhat righting the little wrongs of the world that we all want to right, that we all fantasize about, little corrections we like to make along the way. And then it ramps up to a bigger vigilante move. And he and I were talking about that. What if we flip that into a young millennial woman? And how would that look? And so we consulted with women around us, my daughter and people we knew. How would you react to this? And how would you react to that? Took copious notes and wrote a screenplay and rewrote it about 30 times and then made that movie, Amy's Effort List.
Amy's Effort List. And so if somebody wanted to see that, how do you see it? Can you see it?
It's pretty much everywhere. It opened in Beverly Hills at the Fine Arts Theater.
Okay.
And that was surreal because I'm standing on the stage at the Fine Arts Theater, and in the back row, I see pretty much every press member that I've sat toe-to-toe with watching movies in LA and around the world for the last 30 years. They're now about to watch my movie, wow. As well as all of the invites from the LA area. And I'm standing on the very stage that Steven Spielberg was on only 3 weeks prior wow. when he presented The Fabelmans at the same theater. So we opened in LA and were there and then went to Prime Video exclusively for 2 weeks. And now it's pretty much everywhere.
Okay, but I can go on Prime and watch it.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay.
Prime, Hulu, Tubi.
Yeah. That's cool. The industry, the movie industry has changed over the years in terms of I guess probably making the movies and then distribution of the movies. Can you talk about that a little bit? How have you seen it change, and is it moving in the direction that is good for the filmmaker?
It depends on who you are. It was changing before the pandemic, but I'd say it's changed more in the last 2 years than it's changed in the last 80 years in terms of distribution. The studios are no longer like in charge of what gets made and how it gets distributed. It's never been easier to make a movie. The tools, and I mean, like Avengers Endgame, a $350 million movie. We shot our movie on the exact same cameras and the exact same lenses on a fraction of the budget, obviously, of that movie. But we had access to the tools. And at the budget that we make movies, we know we're going to make a profit at the end of the day. Avengers Endgame, sure, it made a profit, but I can list just over the last 3 years, I could list 20 movies right now that were made in the $10 to $20 million range that I know will never see their profits back, that went through traditional distribution routes. Whereas we don't have that obligation.
So you're playing more for like base hits. I should say, maybe from a budget standpoint, you don't need to hit it out of the park to make.
And not to say we're trying to make a crappy movie. We want to make a really entertaining movie, but at the same time, we kind of reverse engineer it, knowing what the audience is going to be, and maybe a budget comes in, and we kind of look at the budget, time of year we're probably going to release, and think, let's make a horror movie because that is a base hit. Mm-hmm. It's a low-hanging fruit. The return is greater. They do well above anything else in foreign sales than any other genre. So sometimes if we're trying to play it really safe, we'll make a horror movie because we know how to make them well and on a specific budget. Whereas Amy's Effortless, that's a dark comedy. That's a bit of a risk. And so we had to make sure that we had distribution keyed in before we went to set. And
so when I watch that movie, I'm going to laugh. And I obviously don't want to give away the whole plot or the whole ending, but what is it going to appeal to an old person like me, or is it geared more toward a younger audience?
I do think you'll get something out of it. It's super interesting. There's a B story that takes place that's wrapped around a true world news headline that more or less came out of our region. So I think once you figure that out, and you will early on, I think that'll intrigue you. It's an interesting mix. And I say, look, I'm watching it kind of like you are, right? If I take myself out of entirely, I go, I wonder if this starts kind of slow and kind of hallmarky, because the target audience early on, when we first conceived the movie, despite the fact that it's two middle-aged guys writing this movie, we wanted to make a movie that had a youthful feel, targeted, I hate to say like the Netflix crowd, because we knew we weren't going to Netflix with it, but kind of a Netflix 12 to 24-year-old female leaning movie by design initially, and it might start to feel like that, but each click of this movie, as it gets into each and every scene, it starts to grow its appeal wider and wider, picks up pace, and finishes strong. Oh, wow. It's got a jaw-dropping ending.
Oh, got to see it. Maybe I'll buy it tonight, rent it tonight, whatever.
Watch the trailer. The trailer pretty much sums up what you're going to get.
And the name of it is, I guess, catching, right? It's ear catching.
The original title was spawned off an opening animated title sequence. The original title was Amy's Bucket List.
Oh.
And then graffiti comes on and eliminates the B.
Yeah.
And then we were about 3 weeks from release, and Prime wrote this big email saying, hey guys, sorry, somehow it made it through all the filters except the one that matters, and we're kicking this back. You've got to change the name of the film. And we're like pulling our hair out because we micromanage our budget to a T. We don't go over budget. We hold ourselves very responsible to the budget. And so now we have to remaster the film. This is a big process. I won't go deep in the woods technically, but the movie's already been delivered. And when you deliver, you're delivering it in all these different formats that'll play on airlines and play in this country and a specific letterbox size for this country. And now we've got to remaster all of those. Fortunately, we're not, spitting it back out on film, which would have been impossible. But even in a digital world, to remaster it, and so we had to change the name. So now it's Amy's, just the letter F, List.
Right. In terms of marketing a movie like that, do you allow for a marketing budget, or do you just expect the people in distribution to do the marketing? How does that work? I don't even know the business.
We formed a partnership with this company that's kind of changing the game, the Indie Rights, that's putting out really respectable movies. Part of our negotiations with them is that we own a greater part of the movie along with our executive producing team, and we also are responsible for the marketing. So we retain a big marketing budget and we're spending the money.
Wow.
And I enjoy that. Like I listen to your show all the time about business decisions being made, and all of the people on your show that have admitted that they made the greatest knowledge they have came out of mistakes. And I learned that from your show. And I remember when I started processing, wait a minute, that's happening to us as we go. Some of our biggest mistakes were like signing a deal where we took a lesser take of the movie, lesser ownership at the end of the day of the movie, and put blind faith that a bigger distributor, a name that I could drop that everyone would know, is out there marketing it. But then you see all of these inauditable line items where they're spending $250,000 for marketing at the Toronto Film Festival. Well, I'm not seeing that marketing. Were there posters made? Was there digital ad sales made? Or is that buying cocktails at some fancy party and pitching other movies? You really don't know where that money's going. With us, every dime that we spend on marketing, we knew where it was going. And frankly, we see the return. Amy's is our best performing movie out of the gate.
Wow.
And it's on this new model that we're using. So I think we learned from our mistakes.
That's great.
But with that said, the industry's changing, so it might be some other place next year. But right now, it's working.
Well, in terms of, things bypassing the movie theater, right? The direct to Netflix or direct to Prime. That's what percentage? That's where most of it's going, right? People are making their money off of that.
Yeah, gone are the days. Thank goodness for amazing films like Top Gun Maverick, because there's still a reason to go to the movies. And I'm so grateful for movies of that size. So tentpole films like Top Gun Maverick, all of the Star Wars, all of the Marvels, the DCs, that's still going to put people in seats. And I'm so grateful because there's no better way to see a movie. Yeah. But gone are the days where you would have seen lesser movies open at movie theaters anymore. The smaller movies, the under $10 million budgeted movies probably won't see their day in a movie theater. Some horror might, but otherwise no.
What's your favorite movie of all time? You have a favorite?
Right now, it's Top Gun Maverick. I've seen that movie 7 times. I love that movie so much.
I've only seen it twice, but again, from a current movie out, that's got to be as good as anything out there. What about growing up? Were there certain movies where you're like, are you more like a Godfather type fan or Rocky or?
I faked my way through The Godfather, because all of my friends that are in film and everybody loves The Godfather that's in cinema because it is masterful. But growing up, it never really resonated.
Oh, interesting.
And I didn't make it through a Godfather film until during the pandemic, a series came on Paramount Television called The Offer. And The Offer, have you watched it?
I've watched it. I'm through the whole thing.
I love The Offer. Because The Offer, I went back and I watched The Godfather, all 3 of them, through a whole new light, and it changed my world. So
that's interesting.
I'm a late bloomer with The Godfather.
That's okay. That's interesting because I feel there's so many iconic scenes in the Godfather. I have friends that sometimes will use some of the quotes and that kind of thing.
And it's masterful in that. So for those who haven't seen The Offer, it's about the making of The Godfather. And it's hysterical because the guy who created Hogan's Heroes essentially got assigned to creating the Godfather movie.
Yeah, it's not a documentary about making The Godfather. It's a reenactment of what it must have been like to make The Godfather.
Exactly.
It's funny. It's good. It's a good movie.
And it's
or a good TV show.
All of the nuances of that. And again, we're talking about 1972 making a multi-million-dollar film with the biggest names in the industry. But a lot of the things that go wrong in that movie go wrong on every movie set. So like Howard and I watching it go, remember when that happened to us? And the exact way you woo an actor of any level is the same way that they wooed actors in that. And I love that when you're watching a scene in The Offer about them on set, they're having a discussion on set at a cafe in Italy about something they're going to be doing, and you watch that scene. Then when you see The Godfather, you realize they block that scene exactly like a scene about the making of the scene. 2 people talking about how they're going to make this scene is blocked and shot exactly the same way the scene happened. I
just finished The Offer, so I'm going to have to go. And I watched The Godfather, I think, part 1, I don't know, a couple months ago. But
and it all came full circle because Miles Teller from Top Gun Maverick is the star of The Offer.
Oh. Which guy
He's
is
the
that?
guy that's not Tom Cruise.
Okay, yeah.
Goose's son.
Okay, Goose's son.
Is the
That's
star
right.
of-
I didn't put that together, so I'm
all
not
connected.
that good at staying up on I'll call it pop culture. Who the actors are. I'll just go to the movies and watch the shows instead of staying up on the names of them. Sadly,
I'm horrible like that. I don't know where my keys are yet. I knew that tidbit.
that's cool. Okay, so in terms of Sacramento, you've been here how many years now?
Since 87.
So, okay, you've been here a long time. You've seen it change. But from a place to grow a business, it's changed a little bit and it's making change. But what about in terms of from the creative side? It's a place where you can make movies now? Is it really a place like that?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, because of the digital age. And one of my dearest friends was like the godfather, no pun, of that. His name's Joe Carnahan. And much in the way that publishing changed when desktop editing, when suddenly you could pretty much write your own book and you could edit your own book from home because of like all of the software that came along. The movie industry started to get that kind of software too. Digital desktop editing for the first time about, let's say 95, you really did start to have access to some of those tools. And when I first started over there at UPN, CBS, it wasn't even CBS at the time. Paramount had just bought the UPN network and bought that station under that. And my segment editor was this guy named Joe Carnahan. And he said, "Hey, nice to meet you. You want to help me sometime? I'm making a movie." And well, a lot of people were starting to talk about making movies then. But lo and behold, here in Sacramento, he made a movie that ended up winning the Sundance Film Festival that year. It's called Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane, shot here in Sacramento. And that was the dawn of the process. And now, especially so then you could create a movie. All of the tools were there to create a movie. And, exponentially, it started to grow through the years. Well, now over the last 4 or 5 years, you don't even need a distribution route anymore. You can create your own distribution route. It's never been easier to get eyes on your product.
Interesting.
And so yeah, you absolutely can do that. And people are doing it right here.
Well, the ability to do it somewhere is important, but say Hollywood, I feel like these clusters end up turning into things, right? So obviously that's happened with Hollywood. It's Nashville's country music. Is Sacramento destined to become more of a place where we make movies, or where are we at if we were to like characterize ourselves as having the potential to be a good place to make movies and cluster?
I think we're getting there. If you have eyes on Atlanta and where Atlanta was 10, 20 years ago, and if you have eyes on Albuquerque and all that they've done, people don't realize that a lot of TV series, Breaking Bad, a lot of Avenger movies were shot there. And Atlanta, certainly the Walking Dead series and lots of others, and a lot of movies being made there. I think we're right behind them. I think we're on the cusp, and we've made some really good decisions over the last couple of years. Sacramento, our film commission is one of the most competitive in the nation now, and I think you're going to start to see them bring more and more up here. We have better, with the exception, crazy to say, during the weather we've had, but typically we have better, more predictable weather during certain months when you can make movies. And there are about 20 different eras and 30 different types of architecture that you can shoot neighborhood to neighborhood right within the 30-mile zone of Sacramento. So we're poised. We're ready.
In terms of like business advice, obviously you've had the success in building entertainment. Now you turn it into an entertainment business. Anything that comes to mind in terms of sharing information for our audience about how to do that? Because I know you've had to bring investors together. You've had to put a team together, getting the actors together. This is all a big business project.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people the name of my company is Make the Movie, because Martin Scorsese was talking to some Harvard students, and they opened up for a Q&A, and a student said, "Mr. Scorsese, what's the most important piece of advice you would tell me when starting out to make my first movie?" And he, without missing a beat, goes, "Make the movie. I'm so tired of people going, Mr. Scorsese, I've got a script, or I've got an idea here, I've got this or that." He goes, "Make the movie." So that would be the advice, is make the movie. And like we've been talking about all the tools being there, the movie is right there in front of you. So have a great story that needs to be told and make it. Don't wait for somebody else to make it. Don't wait for it to be shopped around at Paramount or Warner Brothers or Universal or Disney. Make it yourself.
Just go do it.
Yeah. And if you're making a movie that requires an infinite budget where you're going to need one of those studios, maybe you should start with a smaller story that's easier to tell. And either use your own money to do it, or bring a few like-minded people together that share your vision and raise that money ethically. talk about the risk involved. Let's face it, if you're making a movie, you're bringing people to the table that maybe want to race a horse and say, hey, we are going to breed the best horse we can breed. And we know how to breed a horse. And we're going to train that horse with the best trainers we know how. And we got a shot at winning the race. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you're going to own this horse, and this horse is going to the races. And let's see what happens beyond that. And so make sure you bring in like-minded people that want to race a horse or want to race a car or want to make a movie.
Do you think people invest into movies? Like there's a certain, you use it like race a horse. There's a certain, it's almost like you're gambling to a certain extent. But you have this pride that you are a part of something special that was kind of bigger than life, like a movie. And sometimes a small business doesn't feel the same as something like making a movie. It's more flashy and more known to the world.
It's the art, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe that it's like-minded people that want to invest in a piece of art, this thing that's going to last forever. It's not disposable. 100 years ago, whether you like our movies or not, 100 years from now, you'll still be able to see them. Someone will be able to digitally dust them off and check them out. So it's being able to own a piece of art that lasts forever. And, you always hope like it hits it out of the park.
Well, okay, so we're trying to just give a little education for our audience. So you say you get up early, and I like your routine of getting up early and getting it done and getting after it. Are there any other life hacks in terms of success that you use that like, hey, this is kind of one of my things that I do that really is a big help?
Power naps are key. If you're going to have to be up at 2 a.m. and not go to bed for your solid until 10 p.m. or beyond, power naps are key.
Do a power nap.
Get a couple of it. Doesn't work for everybody, but get a power nap in. And we've had so many experts talk about this through the years that I think I've keyed in on that. The best advice is that power nap shouldn't go beyond 25 minutes. Because if it goes beyond that, you get into a deeper sleep and you're going to ruin your real sleep that hopefully someday within that 24-hour period you're going to get.
Yeah.
So that'd be my physical hack. Eat well, stay happy.
Yeah, stay happy. Yeah, be around people that are happy.
Yeah.
Well, you're an upbeat person. I'm surprised you're not into fitness. What else might surprise us? What do we not know about you? What did I not ask that I probably should be asking? What else should we know about you?
I don't know. I guess in terms of entrepreneurial things, my business partners and I have created California's largest chain of axe throwing clubs. I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know that. What?
Yeah. And by the way, you have a great axe throwing club like a block from here.
I saw that, yeah.
It's owned by some lovely people. Is that Impact Axe?
Yes. The guys came over here a couple of years ago for Hanging with Haney, one of these little groups we do, but I don't know them super well.
Yeah, there's lovely people. I really like them. They're great people. But
you own axe throwing businesses?
So yeah, Doug Link, who's one of the co-owners of the Esquire IMAX Theater in town, and I wanted to do something together for years, really dear friends. And he called me about 4.5 years ago and said, I'm in a bar in New York and I'm throwing an axe. And there are people wrapped around the block to do it. And there are event spaces booked for months. This is what we're going to do. And so I started doing research on this going, drinking and throwing axes? What could possibly go wrong? That sounds like a horrible idea. And then realized, oh no, it's a thing and it's coming. And so he and I met up with one of the set builders from our movies, this guy named Jim Corbett, who's big in the haunted house industry throughout Northern California. He joined forces and we started our first axe throwing bar. The pandemic hit and almost closed us down. But at that time, we had another investor come in named Mike Liston, who said, hey, I want to join forces with you guys. I want in. Let's shred the LLC, start over again. We're 4 partners, equals, and let's grow this thing. And so now we're 7 locations deep.
Wow.
About to open our 8th.
Where are the locations at?
So our flagship and our biggest location is at Sunrise and 50.
Okay.
Then we opened a historic Folsom on Bidwell Street.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we opened in Modesto. Does huge business. Then we opened in Davis, Fairfield, and Midtown, Sacramento. Midtown opens in about 2 weeks.
When you walk into one of your locations, what's the experience? How big is the facility? And am I coming in there? It kind of feels like a bar?
Each of them has their own kind of vibe. Folsom certainly doesn't feel like a bar because it's upstairs, and our downstairs in that one upstairs is all the axe throwing lanes and food and beverage gets run back and forth. Downstairs is more of a bar because we partnered with an actual bar and escape room called Escape Folsom. Rancho Cordova does kind of feel like you're walking into a big bar. with lanes. Imagine darts only on steroids.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Each one has a different feel. Midtown Sacramento will have more of a loungy feel.
Do people come in there and compete, or are they just come in there just throw an axe? It sounds like a thrill.
Well, that's one thing that we. I can't believe I came on here to talk about movies. I didn't mean to talk about this, but it is fun to talk about. They come in for bachelorette parties and bachelor parties, or just first dates. But there are very competitive people, and we decided early on that if we were going to do it, we're going to do it right. And so we became a sanctioned World Axe League certified establishment. So there are leagues that take this very seriously. And so every product, every lane, everything you do in our facility is World Axe League certified, and you're being monitored. So if you ever want to compete nationally.
Have you ever had the accidents with the axes?
No. How dare you? I'm knocking on every piece of wood we have here. No, we haven't, because
there's probably safety protocols and training.
Yeah, all of our axe tenders or experts are trained and certified, and we keep our eyes on everybody. And so certainly people aren't going there to get drunk. And if we see that, you're taken away from the axes immediately.
Good.
So no, I'd say, like, if anything, people have dropped a glass on their foot.
Is there an age limit? Do you have to be 18 to throw it?
12 and up.
12 and up. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 grandkids that are 12. I should take them axe throwing.
12 and up, and it's not a rowdy bar scene like that.
Okay. All right. That's really intriguing. Okay, so what else do we not know about you? This is good.
I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records, or was for some time, for jalapeno pepper eating. I love spicy food. Wow. You can't make it too spicy for me. And I sat down just for a goofy live shot one day, not realizing that there was a sanctioned Guinness Book World Record judge there. And he said, "You won." And I said, "Oh, that's great. That's fun." Just thinking it was a goofy regional thing. He goes, "I don't think you know what this means. You'll just broken the Guinness Book of World Records." And 3 months later, I was in London at the Guinness headquarters getting my photo taken for the book.
Wow. For you eating... Would you eat
timed 60-second competition? Okay. Who could eat the most raw jalapeno peppers? So not like the soft, stubby, pickled ones. These are 3.5 inches long, and I powered through 12 of them in a 60-second period.
Okay, what else do we not know about you? This is awesome.
I think that's about it. I can play the William Tell Overture on a pencil if you want a big finish.
Love it. Well, I don't have a pencil handy, but okay. So, for last question, what are you gonna do on your birthday? And what do you love most about Sacramento?
I love the kind people like you. And we talked about making movies here. If you want to create anything here, you can find like-minded, ethical, kind people. And I think it's the greatest secret, undiscovered secret. Like when I travel the world and people from other markets try to maybe talk down about Sacramento or Cowtown, I'm fine with that. Stay where you are. I don't want people to realize how amazing it is here. Because if you want it, we have it. We have great people, and I just love being a part of it. I hope to be as good to this community through my lifetime as this community has been to me.
Wow.
And it's an honor what am I doing on my birthday? This is the highlight of my birthday. I'm a fan of your show. Oh. You are a good human being, and you make the world a better place by, with the exception of today, by having great people, giving people hope. Oh, so thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it, and happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Welcome back to the Mark Haney Show, and today we had the pleasure of being joined by really a Sacramento celebrity, Mark S. Allen. He shared with us the stuff that he's working on in entrepreneurship, right? He's got this incredible axe throwing business that I didn't even know about, and I think we knew that he was a TV personality that was extraordinary. But we also heard a little bit about the film business and that he is actually making movies right here in Sacramento with local talent, and that drives the local economy. So he is a Sacramento entrepreneur through and through, as well as a celebrity, which is an interesting thing. And one of the things Mark said on the show today about why he loves Sacramento, and I think it's one of the reasons that I love Sacramento as well. And maybe the main reason I love Sacramento, it's because of the people, right? The people are what draws me to Sacramento. Mark moved here from Texas, 30 years ago plus, but it's kept him here. He's a guy that could be doing his business anywhere in the world, but he's doing it here in Sacramento. Same with me. I sold my companies, and a lot of my friends moving out of state. But you know what? The people I care about are here in Sacramento. So it's where I want to continue to establish roots. It's where I have planted them. My kids are here. My grandkids are here. My friends from Little League and high school and building businesses, they're all right here in Sacramento. Why would I want to leave? So we have I think the perfect group of people here in Sacramento, because in many ways we're drawn here because of one another. But I also think that when people are here and they want to be somewhere and they want to be near other people that inspire them, it creates all these possibilities. And I think that's what's happening right now for the Sacramento region. When Mark commits, I commit, and other founders commit, venture capitalists begin to commit, then good things begin to happen. And I think it's that commitment that really helps put us in a position to win. And I think the possibilities are incredible with people that are still coming here to Sacramento. And I don't know if you guys know this, but we were, we're ranked. Sacramento is becoming ranked within the national press as a place where people want to live. And some people want to live here because of our proximity to the mountains and our proximity to Napa, proximity to the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. So proximity makes a difference. People like our weather. It's been a little rainy lately, but like Sacramento's got very good weather. But I think most of it is the way that the Sacramento leaders have sort of built this as a great quality place to live, and it is a great quality place to build a business. And so I think it's putting us in a position where people are moving here. The U-Haul report is saying that more people want to move here than virtually anywhere else in America as people decide where they want to live during COVID. They want to live here in the Sacramento region. And for me, it's because of the people. And I think the word has spread and people are sort of flooding into the Sacramento region more so than in most areas of the country. And one of the things we learned from Mark today that I thought was quite interesting is that he gets up every morning at 2 a.m. And you think about that kind of habit, that kind of discipline. Now that's pretty damn early. That's earlier than I get up. But creating those early, we've all heard the adage, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Well, these habits, whether it's go to bed early or get up early, I think carving out a time to create a routine for yourselves where you're actually thinking about the things that are important to you. For me, it's around the businesses that we're building and my founders that are my friends. My family, obviously, but getting up early enough so that I can immerse myself in that it's been helpful for me to stay sane as a guy that's building businesses. And those rituals, if you will, and those patterns, those habits, they can be super helpful. So for anybody out there that's building a business, I sincerely think you should be focused on the people first, and then focused on the systems in place in order to make you the best leader that you can be. And for me, it's getting up early, and I've got a lot of work to do and building and being a leader. But I think carving out enough time so that I'm focused on that, because what we think about is what we become. So speaking of leadership, one of the things that's happening in Sacramento right now that I am super excited about is the energy that the Sacramento Kings are bringing to the NBA, and they're bringing to Sacramento. Because when you walk into Golden One for a Kings game, it's electrifying. The fans are the people that love their hometown, that love their hometown sports franchise. They are like the sixth man for the Sacramento Kings, and the Sacramento Kings are winning. I think they're, as of this recording, I think they're 9-2 since the All-Star break, and really well positioned to be a top seed in the playoffs. And it's exciting to have that happen in Sacramento. So not only are people moving here, the people of Sacramento are rallying together to help startups. They're rallying here together to help the most exciting team in the NBA, the Sacramento Kings. And so I'm super excited and super proud of the leadership at the Kings and what you're doing. I will be at the Kings game on the 24th for Kings Capitalize, which is a pitch contest. It is part of our what we're doing in Sacramento is partnering with the Sacramento Kings. So for all of you out there that love the NBA, I encourage you to come out and support our local team, and that would be a good day to go, and we'll be celebrating startups as well. So to all you out there fighting the good fight for our freedom, our security, and our way of life, and to, of course, all you out there fighting the good fight for entrepreneurship, here at the Growth Factor, here at the Mark Haney Show, here at Haney Biz, we're never above you, never below you, always by your side.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.